All right, so one of my sisters was talking on YouTube, and she made a video, and it was concerning Tanzania and a few other countries, basically removing these Western gold mines and that. Now, I have learned that not all people that claim Israel are Israel. Some of them are actually Esau, because we don't understand that Esau went into captivity with Israel. They were taken on the transatlantic slave trade and sold as slaves. Not only that, they did rule parts of Europe, and they actually came to the Americas prior to slavery as well. So not all these black people that are here are descendants of Israel. And on top of that, not all black people did go into slavery. So as I was listening to this sister talk, I was like, she is really concerned about the things of this world. And I started thinking, what if she's not actually Israel, but she's actually an Edomite? And I felt like God actually confirmed it, because people are looking at the outside appearance concerning what is going on with Africa. Oh, all this is going to be great for the financial well-being of Africa. Because the fact of the matter is, people are looking at things from a carnal mind and not a spiritual mind. I'm actually starting to get a little bit freaked out because, for example, Burkina Faso, they invited in Coca-Cola to set up a factory. It's almost like people think they're winning for this reason, but you invited one of the most poisonous drinks into your country so that you could have financial gain. All right. Number two, once you start inviting in all these Western businesses, what do you think is going to happen? Let's say that Coca-Cola is the only Western business that, ends up there. Why do you want to sell this to your people in the first place? And then, she's talking about how the gold is going to increase in Africa, blah, 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 blah. There's another girl that I was talking to, and she was like, oh, Africa is the land of milk and honey. Get in while you can. All this is pertaining to the carnal mind, all right? He said, build your treasures up in heaven, not on earth. And so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I guess it's not a bad thing to be rich. What's the bad thing is valuing your riches over God and his commandments, and therefore you would do the same over people. That's how we got in this place in the first place, is because people valued their riches over God and thus over people, and so they started capturing them and enslaving them and killing them over things, fleeting things, right? And so what do you think would happen with Africa as well? You think that Africa is just going to be like, oh yeah, we're never going to do such a thing. No, they were doing things back then in the Bible days. They were enslaving people for riches, and all sorts of stuff was going on. That's why God had to give his commandments to the Israelites in order to get them back right. Now, you might be saying, what do the Israelites have to do with Africa? Well, if you actually look at the land divisions in Jubilees and in Genesis, you will know that part of the land of Abraham is in Africa, all right? So anyway, there's plenty of Shemites and Hebrews that have always lived in Africa. The land of Shem, one of the land divisions, is called Afra. It literally is what we call Biafra. It is to the west of Africa. It's like central west Africa. So there are Shemites all over the land of Africa that people think are Hamites, and they're not. And God said, God bless the goddess of Shem. So it's the same God as the Israelites, all right? So anyway, people are getting excited because Africa might be coming up financially, but what about the spiritual aspect? Because the money is not going to save you. Having the material gain is not going to save you, all right? Having the appearance of having these things is giving the pride of life, the lust of the eye, and you think this is what's going to deliver you. It's not. You have that movie 2012 that came out, I think even before 2012, but it was basically an end of the world movie. And, LA gets destroyed, New York gets destroyed. Yeah, it was cataclysmic. It was crazy. And they found out that these rich people have bunkers underground and ships and all sorts of stuff. And so they got on these ships and landed in Africa for the New Age, right? I think that would be the worst people to continue humanity. These people who are just rich and have sold their souls to the devil. This is not who we want to continue humanity at all. At all. So, but that's what happened. And so I think their plan very much is probably another rush for Africa. I mean, I think this is why China is building ports and making deals with Africa. And these dumb young people are like, yeah, China's making, because it's making them feel like they're people of value. They can't just feel like people of value because God put them on this earth. They have to feel like they're people of value because all the poverty, and they've been told so long that they're nothing and nobody, and look at you, you live in huts. So now what you're doing is you're buying the devil's apple. You're biting the devil's apple, all right? You're saying, well, I have to measure up to these Westerners, and you know, we got to kick these Westerners out, but we're going to monetize our gold and make it hard for the people that are here poor anyway. Like, I don't understand it, because I'm like, the rich are still going to continue being rich in Africa, but you're still going to have the poor and the needy. So what difference is it making? I guess the difference is many African Americans can get on this if they want to. Like, you have the capability. If you save up for like the next 2 years, like $10,000 or something, or more, even if you can do more, you can possibly get a little plot of land in Africa, you know, possibly build a little something there. But for the people that are there, this is an impossibility for them. So who is this actually really benefiting is my question. It's just not the way of God. It's not the way of God. You're still trying to be like the oppressors. You're trying to be like the Gentiles. He said, do not take on the customs of other nations. So why are we over here and trading and looking at the stock market and all this kind of nonsense? This is stuff that the Dark Kingdom has built for their own gratification, and you keep your hands in it. You know? So going back to what that lady said about Africa being the land of milk and honey, she was speaking specifically from a carnal mentality. The land of milk and honey is a spiritual land, all right? The new heavens and the new earth coming down, the one that says, I shall not worship mammon, I shall not worship the things of this earth, but I will worship the Heavenly Father in spirit and in truth. I will love my Father, and I will love my neighbor as myself. If my neighbor needs some food, I will give them some food. Not like, let's go get rich over here in Africa real quick, and so we can live the life like all these Europeans have been doing for centuries, and enslaved all these people and killed people because of it. Yeah, we want to look like them. We look up to them, even though we don't want to admit it. So I feel like the point is being missed here. It's being missed, all right? But don't get me wrong. If you can save up $10,000 and go get you a little plot of land in Africa and have a simple life, do that. But don't be participating in all this stuff in which these Gentiles have that have literally destroyed them and everybody else. There was a guy, his dad was from Ghana and his mom is Italian. Now, I'm pretty sure this guy sold his soul to the devil because he's always on Instagram making devil horns and that. You know, a lot of these influencers, that's exactly what they did. When Satan came to them and said, I can give you this, this, and this if you bow down and worship me, that's exactly why they have the 500,000 followers that they have. Don't think that it can't happen to young people, because Satan came to me when I was, I want to say 27-ish, around that age, and tried to make a deal with me. There's people that Satan comes to as children and makes deals with them. So let's pretend that he didn't. He left Italy, bought some land in Ghana off of his dad because his dad still is a citizen type deal. And now, you know, him and his sisters, they have some kind of eco farm and they teach people how to make things from nature. It's a very, very cool idea, all right? There's nothing wrong with doing that kind of stuff as long as you don't make a deal with the devil. Do everything to the glory of God. All those plants that he's picking from belong to God, all right? That can be your little business, something along the lines of that. But, you know, don't get to the point where you start becoming one of these people that just want to rule over other people for money. You end up in the mines and then you're beating your servants, the people that serve in the mines and all this kind of stuff. You miss the point. Yes, Africa rose up financially, but spiritually is still destitute. So I feel like a lot of these people with this mentality, they're straight up black Edomites. They are. They're not Israel by lineage, and they're certainly not Israel by spirit. Jacob wrestled with the angel and decided to submit to God. That's why his name was called Israel after that. Abraham was called Abram, and because he submitted to God, God said, I will make you a great nation. I will multiply you. Your sons will be like the stars in the sky or the sand on the sea or something like that. There's going to be a lot of your offspring. And you know what's so crazy, and I don't even have this in my heart, that back then, having all these kids was a sign of a blessing. Having all these people come from you and be named after you, a sign of a blessing. Today we're like, I got to get the bag. I want all this money. Solomon had all that, all right? He had all the women, all that. He decided that, apparently God was not enough, and so he took on all these women of other nations and practices of other nations. He was practicing witchcraft, and therefore he learned at the end of it all, fear God and keep his commandments. Typically when you learn that, you got your tail beat in some kind of way. So I just feel like y'all ain't getting it out here. We're not purposed to look like the Gentiles and the Europeans. I tell these people that were doing these debutante things, because they want to put on these debutante videos, oh, black excellence. And I'm like, is it black excellence? Because literally, like, all you're doing is copying white people and what they think is excellent. And all these people got offended. I was going back and forth for like 4 days with people because I'm just like, the foolishness of it all. You want to say black excellence, you're not even wearing your own hair. You really don't actually think there's anything excellent about you, to be honest. Your excellence is copying off of other people, putting your own spin on it, and then saying it's black excellence. Now, if we actually submit ourselves to God, then yeah, we will be excellent. But why was Daniel called excellent? Because he submitted himself unto the Lord. Whatever you do will become excellent, it's true. But the excellence ain't the worldly type. It's not, oh wow, she excellently twerked. No, that's not what it is. The excellence is the spiritual type. If you don't get that, go learn what it means. Because your demise is going to come from trying to be like these folks. Anyway, y'all be blessed. Have a good one.